I'm JC and I'm back. Is there actually possible to hear difference on Class A and Class B? Let's figure it out.
Yes. I mean the crude Class B amplifiers, they sound like a harvesting machine on a long lawn. They are very they are aggressive. I think that you can compare it to if you were back in the early 90s, ask if there was a difference in the sound of a CD and a turntable. Everybody knows that digital signature, but it's the same kind of pointy signature a Class B amplifier has.
But it's a different kind of distortion. Whereas the real Class A thing, or within its Class A range, the distortion is probably more familiar to tubes because it's harmonic distortion.
Exactly.
And our ear, like the harmonic distortion, is actually very sensitive to what is the third order or something like that? Or
fifth.
Yeah.
So typically when you get into Class B, you get a lot of third and fourth and fifth.
Yeah.
And they are the dominating distortions.
So that is something you can hear, but because, that it's friendly simply to our ears that the Class A amplifiers has this magic. But I also think, just to round off the discussion about what happened in the industry, is that one of the reasons why nobody or not everybody was making Class A is the cost. It's very, very expensive. I mean, if you make Jurassic Class A as I did, I mean, you cannot avoid this huge transformer. And it doesn't just have to be huge, but it also, when you're stressing a transformer with that kind of demand on it, it's very difficult to make them non-noisy. And there's a lot of radiation in the box from a big transformer like that. And I remember so many experiments we made for transformers, and it made a lot of difference whether it was a toroidal transformer or was a C-core, whatever it was. The C-core was actually better, but it sounded like a lawnmower, So you couldn't use that. And you needed the heat sinks. So if you have the transformer and heat sinks, is the most expensive parts in a Class A amplifier. And then comes the electrical bill after that. And there's no free lunches in it, because in terms of heating, it's always a matter of surface. But in my experience, surface alone is not enough. I also wanted mass in the cooling. Yes. Because if you have a cooling element that has the surface, but at the same time represents a big chunk of aluminium, you have a very stable temperature. But you can make the same kind of cooling effect with something that just has a huge area. But that temperature will go up and down when the amplifier is working towards Class B, whereas the other one will keep the temperature. And I think that's very important, because the experience that I had with it, and that's not based on measurements because I wouldn't know how to do that, but only listening to things, is that the temperature of the component has importance, especially to some components. When we were talking about the CTEX today.
Yeah, the CTEX transistors, yeah.
Yeah, and I found out that there was a very, very small transistor we used in our first product, the head amp, that when we turned the bias up and down, it was change character. And it had an ideal point of operation. And it probably also measure better at that point. We never found out. I just said, there, now we got it. Yeah. So, and that's why what Michael has developed with this Class A topology is really something that means that people can get Class A qualization sound at a much, much more affordable price. And it's good for the trees and everything.
I think that maybe looking at your past designs, you put a lot of aluminium and things into it. If we look at what we created together, there's a different material composition altogether with the copper and the titanium, and so there's also sort of like a when we first started talking about that we were going to make a Class A amplifier, and we talked about using copper, and you were bringing your sketchbook. You still have it, that little black book. That's the dangerous one. That's the one with the ideas. But anyway, that's how design starts.